Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Halls of History. I am your host, Scott Hall. Allow me to introduce myself as well as what this show will be. I am a big fan of history, and especially of NFL history. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to know as much about the history of the National Football League as I could. And on this show, I will be talking about NFL history through trivia questions to get you, the viewer, involved. And then, of course, answering those questions and talking about a lot of fun facts, stats, players, teams, coaches, and just about anything. What got me to become such a big fan of the NFL, and yes, I am dating myself here a little bit, I have to go back to January 22nd, 1989. I was 6 years old and was watching Super Bowl 23, the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I don't remember much of the game. However, I do remember being completely amazed as I watched Joe Montana lead the 49ers down the field for what ended up being the game-winning score with about 34 seconds left. I just remember sitting there and watching and could not take my eyes off the screen until Montana hit John Taylor in the end zone. Now, just a little kid watching this unfold, I was hooked. Not only now was I a 49ers fan and especially a Joe Montana fan, but the NFL had reeled me in. In fact, the card right above my head is of an artwork of that final drive by the 49ers culminating in Taylor's touchdown. And also, growing up, I loved listening to my dad talk about football. He was a fan, but not of any particular team or player. So I didn't grow up in a household that was fanatical about anyone. So no, before some of you think I was not already predisposed to be a 49ers fan. And honestly, in the beginning, I was a big 49ers fan. But over time, I became more of a fan of the game in general and could watch and cheer for pretty much just about anyone. Now, do I still lean a little more toward the 49ers? Yes. However, I'm not inconsolable if they lose. But back to my dad. He would tell me stories about watching the 1970s Oakland Raiders and Ken Stabler and how much fun they were, the 70s Steelers, Deacon Jones and the Head Slap, Walter Payton, Jim Brown, and Fran Tarkenton. My dad loved to watch Tarkenton because he said you never knew what he was going to do. And I remember my dad talking about how it seemed that he could just run forever around behind the line of scrimmage waiting to find that open target. And then after watching games with my dad and listening to his stories, I found something that brought all of that to life. NFL films. I knew the names of Steve and Ed Sable before I knew some of the greatest players of all time, because they introduced me to it. Now, not only could I listen to my dad talk about Tarkenton, the Raiders, and Peyton, I could actually watch it through the magic of NFL films. And of course, learn so much more. That unbelievable voice of John Facenda, and of course the music. The music was just unbelievable.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
And to show you how much I wanted to know anything and everything I could, even as a little kid. Some of you may remember how years ago on Super Bowl Sunday, ESPN ran a marathon starting in the morning of NFL films, The Road to the Super Bowl. 30 minutes of highlights of each Super Bowl game, starting all the way back with Super Bowl I. the Green Bay Packers, and the Kansas City Chiefs from January 15th, 1967. Little spoiler for some of you who may not know, Packers won 35-10. But I would look in the TV guide to see what time it all started. And even if it began at 6 a.m., I was awake and in front of the TV watching every episode year after year. I loved it. I started collecting football cards in 1990. The first ones I ever had came from 1990 Pro Set and were inside a box of Wheaties. There were 4 inside a little pack. And also I read every bit of information on the back of those cards. I still have those originals from my collection, actually, right here. Here they are. Still kept them. Unfortunately, a few of them are a little bit beaten up, but still got the originals right there. Then for Christmas that year, I got the complete set of 1990 Topps. And here's that. Here's the box from that original set. Again, a little beaten up, but, you know, I loved it all. And again, I read the back and memorized every card. I didn't care if it was Joe Montana or Mike Saxon, the punter for the then 1-15 Dallas Cowboys in 1989. I didn't care. I wanted to know it all. And I can tell you, I can't tell you how many different ways that I organized that set. Numerical, by team, alphabetical, by college, what month they were born. Yeah, I'd ask my family. It got a little ridiculous. Later in 1991, I went to Art Monk football camp. It was in the summer. Spent a week there learning from different coaches, running through drills, workouts, all kinds of things. And of course, getting to meet Art Monk. And yes, this is me right here with the Pro Football Hall of Famer. He was very friendly and approachable, always had time for the kids. Didn't matter what he was doing or who he was talking to. I remember one time when we had a break, me and another kid went over to ask what time it was. Yeah, we could even do that. And then he told us, but we both paused because, well, okay, we didn't know what time it was, obviously, but we knew what he said was wrong. And I remember we looked at him and then he said, "Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the time in London." Then he showed us his watch and how it had times for different places around the world. We were completely blown away. Another quick story from the camp. At the end of the week, families got to come out and we played a championship game within our age groups. I was a running back, not a good one. But on one play, the coaches said they wanted me to throw a pass to one of the tight ends. I got the toss from the quarterback, and unfortunately, as soon as I got it, I immediately had a defender in my face ready to hit me. Now, I had a brief moment where I was able to see my tight end, my target going down the field. And so I just kind of chucked the ball in his direction as I got hit. Now, I overthrew him. Luckily, it didn't get picked off. But I also tell this story because after I got up, Art Monk came up to me and gave me a pat on the helmet and said, "Nice job." Again, didn't complete it, but I did get rid of the ball before I got hit. And for what would have probably been at least a 5-yard loss and maybe a fumble, I got hit pretty good. Now, I had a new favorite player along with Montana in Art Monk. And my dad and I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductions in 2000 for Montana and in 2008 for Monk. A story about the 2000 ceremony. This was when it was still being done on the steps of the Hall of Fame. We got there early to get a good seat, and I mean early, around 6 a.m., maybe even earlier, something like that. And this was before it was broadcast in prime time, and you also didn't have your paid seats throughout the stadium. It was kind of first come, first serve, wherever you got to grab a spot. But we were right along, there's a high wall just below the stadium, if any of you have been there, and we had a great view. But there was a woman sitting next to me who started talking about Joe Montana and how he should be nominated for sainthood. I looked at my dad and I said, "Wow, I thought I was a big Montana fan, but this is a little crazy." Now, I did figure out pretty quickly that playing football was not going to be my thing, even though I used to run around the backyard all the time, played all the positions, was the broadcaster, everything. I have some athletic ability, but not enough. Not afraid to admit that. But I still loved looking at history. Again, I was the kid that my parents always knew for Christmas, for my birthday, that football cards or football books were always the perfect present. I mean, I have a lot of books here around me, and even a couple of big ones on either end called Total Football. They are NFL encyclopedias that I could sit with for hours and look at. Now, of course, you can find all that information online, and especially on NFL.com, ProFootballReference.com, and StatHead.com. I can spend a lot of time on those sites, as you will discover through this channel. Now, you might also notice that I have some softball memorabilia here with me, including this shirt that I'm wearing. When I went to college, again, playing football was not in my future. I went to get into broadcasting. Figured what better way to use the useless information in my head and talk about the NFL. I ended up attending Marshall University and got involved at 88.1 WMUL-FM, the award-winning campus radio station. But while at Marshall, I really got to enjoy calling softball games. The Hurt softball team was a pretty damn good one, and they were a lot of fun to watch. So one day I talked to the head coach at the time, Shonda Stanton, expressed interest in helping out, and she brought me in as a team manager. First time I'd ever done this for any team. I had a blast being at practice every day, getting to see the other side of athletics with what the players and the coaches go through, planning, drills, all kinds of stuff. And the best part, of course, getting to travel with the team and watch every game. And of course, I traveled all over the country. It was so much fun. I was a part of MUSB for 19 seasons and over 1,000 games, and broadcasted many of them as well. I also produced a lot of videos for the team during my time, and you can view some of those through my personal YouTube page, which the link is below in the description. I am no longer at Marshall University, but I will miss those players and broadcasting their games, of course. I got to be around for a lot of amazing moments and meet a lot of amazing people. Rest in peace, Emily Cooper, forever 12.
The senior has made some significant plays for the Thundering Herd in this contest. Can she make one more? 0-2 count. The UAB fans coming to their feet. Streetman winds and delivers. That one slapped up the middle. Game-winning run comes in. Christina Braxton scores. Your ball game is over. The Thundering Herd is moving on to the 2012 Conference USA Softball Tournament Championship game. 2-1 count. 2 out. Can Williamson get it here? Let's see. She fires one in. It's going around her right back up the middle. Williamson throws to first base in time. Out number 3, Marshall is your 2013 Conference USA Tournament champions. The team that lost in the championship last year comes right back. They get the victory, and they move on straight to the NCAA Regional Tournament.
Shea Braxton just 60 feet away from the game-winning run and moving on to play Illinois. Full count to Estrada. Sophomore from Torrance, California, digs back in at the plate. Zoke checks her wristband, looks in, winds, and delivers. Estrada lines one into left field. Shaylin Braxton comes in to score. Abigail Estrada has her legendary moment and gets the walk-off win. Marshall survives and advances. They will play Illinois next. And that is also win number 42 this season, a new Herd record.
Maya Stevenson steps into the batter's box, leads off the bottom of the 7th, and she sends one deep out to left center field. Look up and say goodbye and say hello to your new Marshall softball home run queen. Maya Stevenson, with the 59th of her career, ties this game up at 9 in the bottom of the 7th. Holy Toledo! Maya Stevenson, you can breathe now. You are the all-time home run leader in Thundering Herd softball history. Maya Stevenson, the record is yours.
But now, after all these years, I have decided to bring my joy of research and finding fun and interesting things to talk about to you. With this channel, 2 times a week, I will be bringing you a new trivia question, and then the next day, giving you the answer and talking about it to learn more about the NFL. I will also take a look at the all-time leaderboards for the league and for individual franchises, and getting to see where players rank might be interested to see where some of your current favorite players even rank all time. So tune in with me here on the Halls of History for a fun look into NFL history. And here's a little teaser for you for the first trivia question that I will have for you tomorrow. It is a rather obscure fact, but it is one that will showcase kind of where I go when I'm looking things up sometimes. And, a lot of people talk about going down the rabbit hole when they're finding weird things on the internet. Well, with this question that you will get to see tomorrow, I will show you how I go down the rabbit hole when looking into NFL history. For some of you, let's see if you remember a name like Darren Nelson. Thanks for watching. Until next time.